everybody, welcome to our channel where we answer your immigration questions. Today I'm going to talk about a situation that comes up pretty often with our clients. It's a question that was asked to me recently by one of our clients. It's with respect to couples that travel to Canada. For example, the husband is a permanent resident of Canada and the wife is a citizen of Nigeria. The applicant, the citizen of Nigeria, has a visitor visa to travel to Canada, and her husband is a permanent resident or a Canadian citizen. So let's say they travel together and they're thinking of doing a spousal sponsorship application so that the citizen of Nigeria becomes a permanent resident of Canada, or they have a pending spousal sponsorship application. What happens is that the husband is a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident, is obviously able to travel to Canada, no problem. However, the wife, the citizen of Nigeria, is coming into Canada as a visitor. Now, when you come to Canada as a visitor, when you've been issued a visitor visa, you have to demonstrate your intention to be a visitor in Canada, and that your intention is of temporary nature. So if you're traveling with your Canadian husband or your permanent resident husband, and at the airport you say, oh, I'm coming to Canada, I'm going to live with my husband forever, I'm going to stay for a year or two, we're going to do, he's going to sponsor me, and this is when I want to live forever, and I love Canada. That may be a fun thing to say at the airport, and you might be excited to come to Canada, but that will most likely result in the refusal of your entry, because when you're coming in as a visitor, you're coming in for a few weeks, a couple of months. You have to demonstrate that your ties remain to your home country. So in this case, Nigeria, that you have a job, that you, for example, you're a student and you have your studies to continue. You may have property, a car, a house, you have family there, you have responsibilities. So at the border, when you come in, the CBSA officer might not ask you any questions. They might say, oh, just come in, no problem. But if they ask you some further questions, and if it looks like you're leaving everything behind to come to Canada, then that's going to result in more questions, and it could result in either your refusal or your file being flagged, or the officer could say, you know what, I'm just going to let you in for a week or two because I think you're going to overstay, or you're going to stay beyond the expiry of your visitor visa. So it's very important to know that even if you have a partner that's a permanent resident or a Canadian citizen, even if you are going to file a spousal sponsorship or you have a pending spousal sponsorship, for the purposes of the citizen of Nigeria in this case, that person is just a visitor. This person has been issued a visitor visa. So at the border, the officer is just going to look at your intention. You can have the intention to stay permanently and the intention to be a temporary resident. In immigration law, this is called dual intention, and you're allowed to have it, but you have to be able to explain at the border. If you're asked certain questions, you have to be able to demonstrate that you understand the difference between both. You understand that when you come to Canada, you're a visitor, you cannot work, you cannot study, you cannot stay permanently, and that you understand that if your permanent resident application is refused, then you are not going to become a permanent resident of Canada, and you have to come back and forth always with a valid visitor visa. Now, if you do come, if the citizen of Nigeria comes to Canada as a visitor, enters and says, I want to stay for a couple of weeks, I'm visiting my husband, I'm coming for this festival, for this holiday, and then I'm going to go back to my life in Nigeria. Once you are in Canada, if you see that you want to extend your stay for various reasons, then you're legally allowed to do that. It's called an extension of a visitor status. It's an application that's filed within Canada. And in that application, again, you still have to show that your life and everything remains in Nigeria. But for ABC reasons, you want to stay longer in Canada as a visitor, you have to show that you have enough money to survive without working, that you have a place to stay, and of course your ties to your home country. So that's always a possibility. But very important to know that when you do come in at the border, you have to show the intention that you're staying temporarily, regardless of what permanent application you have filed. So I hope this was useful. This is a question that comes up a lot. If you have any other questions about the specific issue, don't hesitate to contact me. Bye-bye.